was a project that I've been thinking of doing for quite some time. Because for me, as an artist that deals with story and place and found objects, there are so many stories and places here that we rarely go to or we may not notice because of the busyness of our lives and the city itself. So this lockdown has really opened up our imaginings to what the city actually looks like, what it feels like, the textures, the crevices, the small things that we may not notice in our busy lives that I want to draw attention to in this project. So I created these small paintings, no bigger than stamps, to draw attention to the small, wonderful things that are located in our city if we just open our eyes to take a look and see. We are in the underground at platform 11, and I'm just explaining the statistical material that went with the project. So this was statistics that were put out that talk about the patterns of traffic, pedestrian traffic and car traffic. And you can see what it used to be, and then the red is what it is. So this really fascinated me, part of the places that we no longer go. So I thought it'd be great to put the paintings in these areas. And where I have the black dots are what I've done already. So I've added a few more areas that were high pedestrian traffic areas to put paintings. And so first painting I want to talk about are these two here. So you can see these beautiful little openings in the wall and these cracks. This is from the shaking and the vibrations of the trams and trains that go by. But what I saw there were this root system coming out. These beautiful markings reminded me of plants emerging out of the concrete. So that's why I implanted these beautiful flower patterns around here, just filling in, which I pressed into the cracks and crevices. And then these beautiful lines that I've added are reminiscent of root systems that are coming through. I really love doing this. And while I was doing this, again, there were, maybe you could count them on your right hand, how many people were coming by. It was just so bizarre during rush hour to be the only one here, or to see a few people walking by, when usually there are throngs coming and going. It's very interesting, this historic bridge, which part of this project for me was finding different locations and understanding the history behind those locations. And for the longest time, I thought it was Princess Bridge, not Princess Bridge. And so here I am looking for Princess Bridge, and I found out it was so close again so far. So when I came around and was looking for a spot, I found this amazing alcove. But it was graced by these beautiful plants. Again, that whole idea of small and insignificant things coming and emerging out during this process. Things that we may not take advantage see or may notice before. Part of this project is to help us notice these things. So there was this beautiful indentation. And so what I've created here is art over a landscape. So it's a very tiny landscape, and over it is these clouds, which are dry paint blotches that I've used, and I've implanted those on top, just to kind of grace that environment, to say that art is a way of telling a story and a way of making ourselves known in this time. This one is number 3, and I wanted to draw attention to Hammer Hall and the idea that all of these performances, music and dance and celebration, are no longer happening. And so there's no Villard, there's no announcement of things to come, there's no announcement of things that we can remember. there's nothing. It's just a pretty still place. So I really wanted to create a colorful piece to go here to draw attention that this was a beautiful, colorful example of Melbourne's thriving artistic life. This is one of the newest ones that I created. I was so again taken by the idea that this was a once thriving South Bank where people are going to theater, to music, to meet friends for a drink, and now there's nothing. Not even a few seagulls, but even the seagulls are like, there's no one here to feed us, so why are we here? So I saw this beautiful indentation that reminded me of an island. And so in this island, I thought, well, that's Australia, that's Victoria. We are an island, but now we're even more of an island after being locked down and now state-bound because of the virus. So I've just tried to create something beautiful and colorful that someone would come across if they happen to be walking by or just trying to catch a view and understand what the city was like again. Look, when I first did the painting here in response to this beautiful greenery that's right over here. So the gardener was working at the same time I was working. So I felt really transfixed that he is trying to implant and change the way that we perceive real life, living plants in this section of the city. And I'm trying to implant art in this section of the city and implant the idea that art as well as nature is everywhere. So it's just really a complementary thing going on. This is where the painting was supposed to originally be, but while I was preparing on the steps, painting and all, these 3 police officers came and they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, you know, I'm installing these paintings around the city. It's called Small Wonders." And they said, "Well, you know you can't put anything on the building." I said, "Oh, okay, so where do you suggest?" And they said, "You can put anything on the pavement." So that's why the number 15, the last one, wound up over there. If I had had that mindset that I was going to go there instead, I think I would have chosen a different painting, but that's how it is. Oh. This one was done in the rain. And because it's under a bus shelter, I was running back and forth from the bench to here to really prepare it. And I think because it was, at that time it was a lot quieter, it was in the beginning of this pandemic, and it was like no one here. So trams would be going by with maybe 1 person on it, or 2 or 3. And this was such a vibrant, student-driven area that I just had to put some color and some brightness and freshness there. And there used to be words here that said art for all on it, which meant that art is still here for everyone to take part in, even though the museum is closed, even though many of the shops here have closed as well. So I just wanted to kind of express that feeling that art is still here. Come take a look at what's going on. A friend of mine told me that in the olden days, they would say, "Let's meet at the Crack on Burke Street." And I used to say, "What's the Crack?" And the Crack is where Myers meets David Jones. So it would be meet at the Crack between where these 2 buildings meet. So I thought, wow, that'd be cool. I'll put a painting right by the Crack in between these 2 places. So what I tried to do was create a work that looked like they had come together and melded, and then were dripping down into the paving. And the name of this work was called Art Unites, because here's these 2 beautiful architectural structures uniting by this small, very minuscule painting the size of a postage stamp. Here we are at Southern Cross Station, where I have installed a small painting here that deals a lot with the lack of mobility that we had during this viral lockdown, and that it's important for us to kind of sit and be still and take notice again of these small things. So when I did this, that was the whole thing that I had in mind, was that this busy station, which is really quiet, gives us a chance to be quiet and just focus on the small things that are important and that matter to us. On the steps leading up to the page, this is Collins and Spencer Street, one of the very busy centers where people would dine and sit out and enjoy the grass. Again, not many people here. So I did this small painting tucked in right here. It was called Isolation. When I was installing this work, it was a very cold day, and there weren't no places where you could eat. So I got this one hamburger from this joint, but I couldn't stay there, so I'm looking around for a place to sit and eat, and the only place that was available was the lawn. And again, people were in that same boat of feeling like they'd gone to different shops but then couldn't stay there, so we're all outside cold and eating but not interacting with each other. And so that's why I named this one Isolation. We are at the Melbourne Convention Center, and here I was thinking I was doing such a bang-up job of placing them in this covering, but as you can see, the water line that comes through here has washed away the three paintings. The only one that's left here is the first one that I did. I did three, but the only one that's left is here. And this one, I put along a fixture in between the cement, where these two structures, forms meet, the masonite and the stone. It just felt like this beautiful river. Well, clearly it was a river because the waters come in and wash it away. But I wanted people to kind of lead up to this very empty structure where before thousands and thousands of people would gather for conventions or talks or entertainment. And now only a few things left, like the crows are the only people who visit the center now. So hopefully this small painting will last at least a long time until lockdown is lifted.